Cost segregation is something I highly recommend you do if you own a commercial building or an apartment building which you purchased for over $1 million or spent over $500,000 in tenant improvements. The purchase and the tenant improvements have to have occurred since 1997. So what is cost segregation? It's a safe way to accelerate the depreciation of the building systems in a commercial building or an apartment building and get the present value of the taxes deferred. What that's worth? Look at the table. It's based upon over 1,000 cost segregation studies done in the last few years. You'll notice that different types of buildings get a different benefit. The type of building that gets the best benefit are high-tech buildings. So that $210,000 number you see there, that's based upon the original purchase price being $1 million. If your building was purchased for $5 million, you would take that 210 and multiply it by 5, which would be over $1 million. Pretty compelling benefit. The value of cost segregation is the deferral of taxes and accelerated depreciation. For each dollar reclassified into a 7-year class life, the taxpayer realizes from 15 cents to 20 cents in the cumulative present value of taxes deferred. For each dollar that is reclassified into a 5-year class life, you're looking at 19 cents to 23 cents cumulative present value of taxes deferred. Cost segregation reclassifies the components of a building into shorter class lives. So let's look at that. In both the example of the auto dealership and the apartment above the orange bar, 54% of the building was reclassified. Buildings that originally cost $8 million to buy had just under $750,000 of tax savings. Take a look at the orange bar. You'll see 4 bullets. You'll notice at the end it tells you what type of property and how many years for depreciation. So buildings and floors, 39 years real property. Site improvements such as sidewalks and landscaping, 15 years real property. Communication equipment and office furnishings, 7-year tangible personal property. And finally, computers and carpeting, 5-year personal property. That reclassification and that accelerated time frame in which to depreciate is why you get these deductions. These are the 3 things you need to qualify. And the building cost is the original purchase price, not the current value. Or you could have done $500,000 in tenant improvements. You should have purchased your building from 2000 and later. Yes, you could use cost segregation the years before, but then the building cost has to go up because the numbers don't work as well. Is cost segregation a safe thing to do? Absolutely yes, if you hire the right type of company, and I'll tell you in the next slide what you're looking for. No amended IRS tax return is required. There's over 1,000 IRS revenue rulings and court cases providing the necessary guidelines, and also the IRS has published an audit techniques guide. That said, I would not hire your CPA to do this. One of the big differences between very wealthy people and people worth a few $1 million is very wealthy people hire attorneys to get certain tax advantages and very specialized CPAs. The company that I refer people to, and it's totally optional, I'll show you in the next slide what you should look for, and if you find that, go ahead. But I'll gladly refer you to a company that has done over $5 billion of buildings. That was with a B, 5 billion. Thousands of buildings. I use them because I've had great success with them and never had a complaint. They offer IRS audit protection and state franchise tax board nationwide. They stand behind their work, and for good reason. They know what they're doing. They're real experts. I've enjoyed working with them. They have a lot of tax expertise in lots of related areas as well. I would refer them to you if you want to go forward with cost segregation. If you'd rather go out and find somebody on your own, by all means, I'll show you in the next slide what to look for. You want your cost seg provider to have these 5 and the next 4 that show up on the next slide. The most important of this is they've done at least 100 studies in cost segregation and that they can document it to you and show you. And also that they perform the studies in-house. They don't sub it out to other people. You also want to make sure that they have professionals who are architects, CPAs, and research staff that can stay on top of all the changing legislation. This makes a very big difference. It sounds like the second time I'm pitching my provider, but if you own properties in lots of different states, you want to make sure you go with a cost segregation company that can do it nationally. So if you want to move forward with cost segregation, I encourage you to go to my website, profitsusa.com, where you can download the book for free and read the chapter on cost segregation and other things that interest you. When you do want to get in touch with me, what I encourage you to do, rather than emailing me or calling me, because like yourself, I'm often in meetings and we start playing telephone tag, is instead go to the contact page. There's a intake form. It takes 60 seconds to 90 seconds to fill out. Once you do, then I know what other things that you're interested in. I also know what time zone you're in, when to contact you. Makes it a lot easier for both of us. And I also want to know who referred you, because if somebody referred you, I want to know who they are.